Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms. Today, we've got this giant gnarly stump to grind out. Right now, it's taller than I like to grind them. It's a big waste of time, and it wears out your teeth too much if you grind them from full height. So I've got the 500i and my smaller chainsaw. We're gonna try to cut it off as close to ground level as we can. It's kind of a weird looking stump because they tried to bust it up and they had like an axe and a splitting maul and beat it all up, so it's really funky shaped. Then, like you normally find, we've got large roots that run several feet off to each side. So this is gonna be a big job, it's gonna be a big challenge, but I really like a challenge. So I'm gonna get the tractor unloaded, get the saws over here, and we'll get going. All right, so we had about 20 minutes in cutting this down to ground level. Went pretty smooth. I'd call this a 5 or a 6 foot stump measuring to here, but if you measure out to where it enters the ground and where you have to grind, it's probably a good 8 foot. So, all right, let's start grinding. So if you've been following the channel for long, you know that I do side jobs with my tractor to earn a little extra money. And I've been discussing on the channel whether or not it's really profitable to use your tractor to make a side income. I would say the answer is yes. You do need to charge a little bit more than I originally was, but stump grinding is probably the most profitable thing I've found so far. Obviously, you have the initial investment of your stump grinder, but after that, I find it to be easier to get a good hourly rate. A lot of people still tell me that I undercharge. For instance, this stump here, I got $300 for this. And looking at the size of it and discussing with a lot of people who do stump grinding, I keep hearing that people would charge, $500 or $600 for this. And I just can't see how that's practical, because at $300, I was able to pay someone to do the job with me, and we were done in just over 2 hours. So even factoring in equipment cost, that's a pretty productive 2 hours in my book. And if you did 4 a day, you'd be doing pretty good. I normally do these jobs by myself, but having a second person really made this more productive, because you could have one person move the tractor and the other person operate the stump grinder from the side. And it also helps with setup, it helps with cleanup. Just overall, I think even though you're splitting some of the profits, it was worth it. To me, the hardest thing about grinding a big stump is once you do your initial grinding, you've got this much wood chips, and you don't want to spread them all over the yard, but they're setting right on here, and it's hard to find the spots that are still sticking up, because you cut it and it kind of makes little half moon cuts in, and you keep working back and you'll have high points. They're hard to find, and normally whenever I go to rake all the chips back in, I find spots I missed. I think we're down to basically this and a leg back here, and maybe just a little bit in this area, and then we'll be done. We've only been on this a little over an hour, and so that includes cutting the top off, so that's pretty good. All right, so this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. We thought we were all done. We're cleaning up chips, and that's part of the stump right there. So it's pretty common for me to find something like that, or somebody to find something like that after I think I'm done. So we'll get that cleaned up, and that'll be the end of this one. But I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. Just a minute, you'll see links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.